Materials 2, this is my second video about materials. I'm going to talk about springs. Now here's a spring. You put a spring in tension and you get an extension, and you plot a graph of F against X, and up to a point the spring will obey Hooke's law. And Hooke's law, after Robert Hooke, basically says that the graph will be a straight line. F is proportional to X. The graph is a straight line. Traditionally, we put F on the y-axis and X on the x-axis. It could be the other way round, but traditionally it's a force against extension like that. Okay, so F equals Kx, K equals F over X, and this quantity K, which refers to a spring or a wire or any particular specimen, is the stiffness. In the case of a spring, we can call it the spring constant. K is the spring constant in newtons per meter or newtons per centimeter, whatever. And if we do F against X, then it's the gradient of the graph if it's a straight line. And looking at that, therefore, the one line there, the one with the bigger gradient, is stiffer than the other one. Now, if we put springs in series and we put springs in parallel, what happens to the overall stiffness? Well, let's say one spring on its own had a stiffness K. What would happen if we put more springs in series? What would the value of K be? And so putting springs in series, the value of K will get smaller. With 2 springs it would be half as much, with 3 springs it would be a third. Why? Well, the tension is the same. They're all joined together, the tension is the same. Each spring will extend a certain amount, so the total extension will be double or treble, and so the stiffness will be less. If you put springs in parallel, then the load is shared between them. If I put 10 newtons on, then each one would get 5 newtons if you had 2 of them. So the extension isn't as much, it's half as much. So the stiffness is twice as much, or 3 times as much if you had 3 springs. Here's some questions for you to have a go at. Pretty straightforward GCSE kind of questions. And I'll show you the answer there.